Let me ask you about this. You've done, I was thinking about it today, over 150 movies. Wow. Does one ever come on, a movie of yours come on, and you're in it, and there you are, and you have no memory of it?
Unfortunately, no. But a lot of the movies...
Why unfortunately? Have you made some that you're not super proud of?
I made a picture called Super Mario Brothers. And my six-year-old son at the time, he's now 18, at the time he said, Dad, I think you're probably a pretty good actor, but why did you play that terrible guy, King Koopa, in the Super Mario Brothers? And I said, well, Henry, I did that so you could have shoes. And he said, Dad, I don't need shoes that bad.
We've all done that.
Howdy, folks, and welcome. Hold on just a second. I literally blanked out and forgot that I'm welcoming to the show.
Welcoming in.
Yeah, got it. So drunk. Howdy, folks, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, That Would Be Rad. We're a podcast that majors in 80s and 90s nostalgia, comic culture, all things paranormal, and minors in retro video games, tabletop RPGs, pre-internet mysteries, and trying to raise our kids to be half as cool as we were back in the 80s. We're your hosts, Woody Brown.
And Tyler Benz. Yeah, let's put that on silent.
How's it going, bro?
Pretty good, pal. How about you?
I mean, dude, I'm ready. I feel like it's been quite a while that we just kind of dove into the nostalgia over here on this show.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we've been really letting down the fans who are here for 80s nostalgia, Nintendo, that
good
part
good
of our childhood.
News. We're going to dive into it today.
Okay.
And I will say, man, and you'll see why I say this later, and those of you listening will understand as we go through the episode how it's kind of synchronicity, actually, man, that led us to watching this movie again. And, well, let's just dive right in.
Yeah, let's get in.
I want you folks to rewind the tape back to 1993. If y'all remember, this was a gigantic year for movies. Foundational to our childhood. I mean, huge. A year that gave us some absolutely heavy hitters. But today we're not talking about those movies. Today we're diving into one of the most bizarre, I gotta say, probably most polarizing and most what the heck were they thinking movies ever to crawl out of the early 90s. And that is Super Mario Bros.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Where are we? I got a feeling we're not in Brooklyn no more.
Luigi!
Sandy! You better not hurt us!
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
Oh no. Mario! Luigi!
They're on the trail of a kidnapped princess and a mystical meteorite.
It's incredible!
That gives anyone who possesses it the power to rule the universe.
Get me the rock! Come and get it, lizard breath!
Now, they must rescue the princess.
Luigi!
Alien species escaping. And make it safely back.
Later, alligator.
To our world.
Are you alright?
Before time runs out.
Shoot him! You're a bad plumber! Look out, Mario! Get him! Yes!
No, stop!
Gotcha! Oh, no, not again!
Super Mario Brothers. This ain't no game.
Speaking of which, and not to derail right after the title card, but have I talked about the show, the thing that I learned about the Mario, the little catchphrase?
Oh, I know we've mentioned it before.
Have we?
But
it's one of my all-time favorite things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, all through our youth, we It's like, oh, he's in Italian. It's me, Mario. Like that whole thing. Actually, because Nintendo and Mario obviously are, yes, he is an Italian plumber, but because it's Japanese, Itsumi is actually the word super in Japanese. So it's literally saying Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, instead of like we all think it's a me,
right.
Mario, like it's doing some terrible Italian accent.
Yeah.
It's actually Itsumi,
Yeah.
Mario.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Really, really cool.
And I don't know if it's okay. Before the movie came out in '93, I was going to get to this later. But do you remember the late '80s? I think it was in '89. The TV show. It had like the live action dudes. I'm pretty sure Mario was like this kind of portly guy with long Jerry curl sort of hair.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show! With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hooked on the brothers.
Live action show. I don't remember that. I remember you had like the Mario cartoon, and then it was sort of like a double feature with like the Nintendo Power, where the kid had like the gun, the Nintendo gun.
Yeah. No,
Which
this was like they would
inspired
do,
millions to go cut
Oh,
off
yeah.
the cord like I did.
That's the reason. Yeah, exactly, man. How many of those things are just completely ruined and inoperable after like? No, this was like two live action dudes would do like funny stuff, and they would introduce sort of maybe 15-minute segments of animation.
Oh, maybe
There was like a cartoon.
Yeah, maybe that was like the intro. Now, like it does kind of like they were just sort of the host.
They're like silly. They're like, oh, we got a problem, and then all of a sudden the cartoon would start.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where we got like the silly Italian voice kind of idea. But this movie though hit theaters May 28th, 1993. Get this, man, just a few weeks before Jurassic Park changed movies forever.
Whoa.
And while Jurassic Park had T-Rexes and Spielberg magic, this one, well, it had de-evolution guns and Dennis Hopper with cornrows. This was originally imagined as a fantasy film. Actually went through so many rewrites that it ended up mutating into this gritty, dystopian, cyberpunkish fever dream that we now kind of have come to know and love. It was written by Parker Bennett, Terry Runte, and Ed Solomon, directed by Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton. They were a real-life husband and wife duo. Dude, the movie had a budget of around $48 million, which, to be fair, you kind of see in the weird sort of slam effects and Goomba suits.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, when you go back, and I don't want to get too into it yet, because I'm going to kind of go in, not really necessarily through the plot line, but to kind of talk about specific parts. But going back and watching it, visually, I mean, there's some pretty huge set pieces, man.
Yeah.
When they go into the into that world.
And also one of the things too, I think that's interesting about this movie is like, I think from like the Joss Whedon's Avengers on, it sort of recalibrated like comic movies or game movies to be like, oh, well, we actually can have bright colors and comic accurate suits. But before that, I mean, you look at the original X-Men, they had all black leather bell-bottom suits. I still love them, but they are what they are. But everything before that, no matter how bright the source material was, and I mean Mario, you really can't get any brighter. It's
right.
It's so vibrant and like sort of happy. And boy, this movie is it's like straight up Dark City almost.
Yeah.
And
it's weird because, I'll say this, because this movie gets a lot of hate, and that's part of the reason why we're talking about it today. But I can't lie, man. When I watched it, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I mean, I was obsessed. And in this year in particular, it was just such this kicked off the summer, and it was just a great year for movies and stuff.
Although even as a kid, it's like one of the first movies that I sort of vaguely remember having to kind of separate in my mind from it even being like Mario. It was like I really liked it, but it was sort of like, oh, well, this isn't this other beloved, you know.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I was obsessed with Mario and all that, and for some reason, I didn't really think of it like that. And I think because by the time this movie came out, we had already had movies like Masters of the Universe that had nothing to do with the franchise.
Yeah, exact same.
You know, so it's almost like, well, I'm peeking into this other world where these characters are real, and it's just like they're telling this story that's completely different. Who cares? I love it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What's interesting is it was also the very first Hollywood movie based on a video game. That's pretty interesting to me as well. If I was choosing video game franchises, though, in the 90s, I mean, I don't know. As far as like what would make a good movie, I kind of feel like Zelda would actually. But I think Mario Brothers was a lot more, I don't know, man. Can I even say that out loud? It was more mainstream than Zelda, right?
Well, wait, though. Mortal Kombat was
later.
Like, it would have been pretty close, though, right? Or no?
Like, relatively speaking, I guess. But I think Mortal Kombat was like 97, 98.
Huh.
You know? Anyway, the husband and wife team apparently was just like abysmal to work with. Bob Hoskins, who played Mario, and I mean, so many movies that we all know and love. Like, he was Shmi and Hook and all this. He was in he was Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. All that. He famously said that it was an effing nightmare. He says that it had a husband and wife team directing whose arrogance had been mistaken for talent. Effing nightmare, effing idiots was his direct quote about these folks.
Oof.
You heard the Dennis Hopper quote at the top. Both of these things together, you know, harsh, yeah. What is it accurate? Probably. But yet, just like so many train wrecks from our childhood and the crummy movies, you know, looking back in comparison to like now, I guess.
Yeah.
This movie kind of clawed its way back from the brink of cinematic hell to earn this sort of cult-like status. And for the longest time, you just couldn't even find it on DVD. I think when we were like touring and stuff, it was just, I say couldn't find, it was harder to find copies of it, you know?
Yeah. By the way, Mortal Kombat 1995.
95,
so pretty
okay,
close.
2 years later, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. What a difference.
Yeah.
Of course, that one's corny too. And if we're talking about video game movies, we got to really quick talk about how silly the Street Fighter movie is.
Oh, it's bad.
I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme with an accent playing the only like hardcore American character in the video game.
Yeah.
He's got an American flag tattoo on his bicep, for God's sakes.
As you were, Colonel.
What a surprise. Welcome to the Shadaloo front. You're just in time for the kickoff.
I'm afraid not, Colonel. The Security Council has just voted. They've decided to negotiate.
You're joking.
We're prepared to pay the ransom demand.
$20 billion? What will prevent him from taking more hostages next month and asking for $50 billion? $100 billion?
Yeah, Guile. He was a great character too, but boy.
Okay. But like I said, dude, love it or hate it, we all remember it. And I can't lie, I loved it. Maybe it was because, look, it came out right around the time when I was like my son's age now. You know, it's equivalent to like Minecraft just came out for him.
Oh, yeah.
This was like our version of that. Yeah. We just moved back from the States from living overseas. So it was like this movie in the theater, Jurassic Park in the theater. I mean, I don't know if it was the same summer, but it just feels like it was. Twister. All these things were coming. It was just so much fun to go to the movies.
I do remember that summer very fondly.
Yeah. Because I think we were either going into 8th grade or just about to go into 9th. And
well,
I
was.
Pivotal
You
time.
were probably already graduated.
No. And
Street Fighter, by the way, 1994 release.
There you go, right after.
Man. Although, you know what? I would say the Street Fighter movie is probably the worst video game adaptation of all time.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched that too.
Me too.
But I watched the trailer trying to, say, hey, Woodrow, let's watch this on our movie night. And we both watched the trailer, and I was like, boy, that is that's tough.
Yeah. And I was like a massive Street Fighter fan.
Me too.
And I remember even at the time getting through half of it and being like, this is the worst. This movie is just not even worth watching.
And it's like you watch movies like this and you think, how did it? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I just don't. I can see how the pitch at a Hollywood studio, you really wouldn't have to go too much in depth. You're like, look, these video games make this amount of money every year. Kids are going crazy for it.
Yeah.
Let's make a movie about it. Okay, sure. You got these execs that are kind of far enough removed from video games anyway.
They destroy.
Because think about it, they didn't grow up with those. And so they're just kind of like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. Yeah. Hey, we want to make this crazy movie. And I'm going to get into like how the plot just goes nuts in comparison to just, there are these two brothers, they're plumbers. A princess gets kidnapped by this lizard king and they have to go,
Yeah.
Nope, it's even crazier than that.
Which, by the way, I mean, I do got to take a minute to give the Japanese their flowers, because we've said it 1,000 times on the show, but they're sort of like penchant for having like the most abstract, strange, like almost total nonsense, like storytelling ideas. But because it's just this sort of juxtaposition, like it's just this big gumbo of like totally random ideas, it makes it like just incredible. It's like two Italian plumbers, a princess, a giant dragon, like, you know what I mean? Like these like little like mushroom Koopas. Like it's so weird.
Yeah, it's strange, but it's also like at that level, it's just a video game.
Yeah,
and so it makes it like less weird. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? We're moving the guy from left to right. Sometimes he has to jump. Whatever.
By the way, the Koopas are not the mushrooms. I made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the Goombas.
The Goombas, yeah. All right.
Yep.
So we can rationalize how this would have been greenlit by the studio in an effort to sort of cash grab at the video game crowd. And, I mean, it worked on me.
Yep, same.
But let's talk about how the movie opens. So it opens, and it's kind of promising at first, man. It opens, you hear the Mario theme. Boom, boom, and you're just like, oh, okay. And then it kind of pans into this pretty
Dark,
crummy animated intro, actually.
Oh.
This is where, like, if you haven't seen it in a while, you won't remember this. It looks like it was whipped up in, somebody's first week at Adobe Premiere class. It goes on to explain in the most sort of like, sort of stoner kid, college roommate way possible that when the meteor hit Earth.
A long time ago, the Earth was ruled by dinosaurs. They were big, so not a lot of people went around hassling them. Actually, no people went around hassling them because there weren't any people yet. Just the first tiny mammals. Basically, life was good.
It just don't get no better than this.
Yeah. Then something happened. A giant meteorite struck the Earth. Goodbye, dinosaurs. But what if the dinosaurs weren't all destroyed? What if the impact of that meteorite created a parallel dimension where the dinosaurs continue to thrive and evolve into intelligent, vicious, aggressive beings? Just like us. And hey, what if they found a way back?
This is what I mean by synchronicity here, folks. It actually split reality into two parallel dimensions. One for mammals, one for dinosaurs. Because, sure, why not? What's interesting is the dinosaurs sort of evolve into humanoid form in that parallel dimension. And so it was interesting to me as, I'm pretty sure, maybe it's just because my memory is just terrible about being 13. I'm pretty sure that just went over my head. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being like alternate dimension. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't pay attention enough.
Wait, is that's the plot? It's like an alternate dimension?
Yes. An alternate dimension occurred when the when the meteor hit, it opened up this alternate dimension. Immediately, the dinosaurs get like teleported to it, leaving us or humankind behind, or regular Earth.
Interesting.
The dinosaurs are over on the other one. They evolve over those millions of years, and they're kind of human-like, some of them. But then there's all these other creatures.
Yeah, I just assumed like it was like some sort of. I mean, it's weird because now thinking back, I'm like, oh yeah, it would be like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Another dimension. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So then you cut to Brooklyn, and it's present day. We meet our heroes, Mario, and Luigi Mario. Yep. Mm-hmm. You sure heard that right.
Oh, man.
Mario's last name is Mario. And that sequence is hilarious. He's like, my name is Mario. Luigi's the one doing the talking. And by the way, Luigi kind of like, I feel like he's the main character almost.
He kind of is, yeah. I agree.
And he's explaining to, I think it's at like dinner. I think it happens a couple of times, but he's at dinner. He's like, He's with Daisy, which I'll get to in just a second. They're at dinner. And he's like, yeah, I'm Luigi Mario. That's my brother Mario. And I mean, you're just thinking, but what's funny, dude, is it was officially canonized because of that.
Wow.
Oh boy. So anyway, Mario, Bob Hoskins, is this gruff, no-nonsense plumber.
Yeah.
In that respect, they did a good job. I think he played a great Mario. Luigi, who's played by John Leguizamo, is more of a lovable sort of, wears his hat backwards, doofus, kind of cool. But, it shows him early on too, and he's watching this like parallel dimension like TV show, and he's trying to like, he gets all these like, what are they called, man? What are those newspaper things?
Like National Enquirer.
Yeah. He gets all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. What are they called though? Why am I thinking? Not trades, but
I mean,
what are they called, man? Why can't I think of that?
God, that's weird that we've forgotten that from our lexicon.
Tabloids.
Gosh,
man.
What is wrong with us?
Anyway, okay. He's got these like stacks of tabloids, and Mario kind of is just like, oh boy, why do you waste your money on this kind of stuff? And he's like, look, Mario, there's this guy, and he says that he was taken to another dimension, and Mario's like, whatever,
And for our listeners, I just want you to realize that I am Luigi with my conspiracies.
Yeah.
Woody
and I'm more Mario.
Is Mario, and also like just like his shape.
Yeah. Thick, round. It's weird too because like it's this brother dynamic throughout the movie that's kind of confusing a little bit. It's more like buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
But it's still believable. Now we enter Daisy, who, by the way, at the beginning of the movie, after they sort of go through this crappy animated sequence telling you about how there's two dimensions that were created. Mm-hmm. They also show someone dropping a baby off at like a orphanage run by nuns, okay? The nuns open this package up, and it's like a dinosaur egg. And when the egg hatches, it's a baby. Normal baby. Human baby.
Huh.
And it's funny if you go back and watch it, because they're just like, oh, miracle. And you're like, okay.
You're like, I don't think you've read your Bible. None.
Yeah. Cut to now this girl is grown, and it's Daisy.
Which, by the way, I was just thinking like, man, Daisy seems... I always thought Daisy was like much later. I mean, you see her now in all the games and stuff, but actually it says here that she was in the 1989 Game Boy game Super Mario Land.
That's interesting. Yeah, because Princess Peach is who
was like Mario.
Typically, typically see on the Nintendo games. So Samantha Mathis is who plays Daisy. I mean, Pump Up the Volume, Broken Arrow. Just all kinds of movies. But Pump Up the Volume is probably where I knew her from the most.
Man, synchronicity, dude. We were just talking about True Romance with Christian Slater. He's in Pump Up the Volume, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, truth be told, of course, I had a crush on her for sure.
I had a crush on him.
Okay, Christian Slater, huh?
Kidding. No, but I do need to say that this movie reminds me of like just the gritty street kind of vibe. It's really similar to the original Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, except that, man,
I just mean it's like
did it so much better.
It's so dark and gritty and dirty, like just the city sort of scenes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the other part, man. There's a scene where they show Daisy, who is basically, she's like a, I don't know, man, like a paleontologist or something. And she's working at this dig site. And then, you know, these Italian gangster types who are like real estate moguls or something come in and they threaten her. But in the background, you can see the original, like, you know, World Trade Center and stuff. That old image of New York that just is implanted in my brain as a kid of that's what New York looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not quite as dirty as like Taxi Driver, but those little side streets are pretty seedy still.
Yeah. Yeah. I forget the contractor's name, Scapelli. So first off, look, okay, like,
oh, I love it. Which, by the way, well, I mean, I guess if you're doing like New York mobster, mafia.
Yeah, I know. What else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
But,
that's
okay, cool. So Daisy has this like mysterious rock around her neck. It was dropped off by the lady in the beginning of the movie. Daisy gets kidnapped by these two knuckleheads from the other dimension, Iggy and Spike. Okay? These are Koopa's goons.
Yeah.
Who look like, I don't know, they remind me of, you know, like maybe they were in a ska band. And
were they the guys with like once they took their
super jailed hair, man?
But didn't their heads come off and they had like the tiny little heads?
No. No, those guys.
What were those? Those guys were terrifying to me.
Really?
Yeah, it scared me back in the day. They just creeped me out.
We'll get to those guys in just a second.
Okay.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase of 16 weeks, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Summer tastes like Tic Tac. Tantalize your taste buds this sunny season with citrus adventure and orange. 2 everyday flavors that bring summer in every. Tic Tac Citrus Adventure is a yummy, vibrant medley of lemon, lime, and mandarin. And Tic Tac Orange is the perfect mix of tangy and sweet. Visit us at Tic Tac USA on social to refresh your summer with Tic Tac.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority is using Google AI to create smarter tolling systems and improve traffic flow for Texans. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline. Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, stain, tools, flooring, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online from May 8th through May 14th. Not a member? Join My Lowe's Pro Rewards for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
This episode is brought to you by Chevy Silverado. When it's time for you to ditch the blacktop and head off-road, do it in a truck that says no to nothing. The Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. Get the rugged capability of its Z71 suspension and 2-inch factory lift. Plus, impressive torque and towing capacity thanks to an available Duramax 3-liter turbo diesel engine. Where other trucks call it quits, you'll just be getting started. Visit Chevy.com to learn more.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Pretty cool place if you're a Martian.
Or a vampire. You think you really know what's happening around here, don't you? We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Hey, this is Woody.
And this is Tyler. And you're listening to That Would Be Rad.
And now, back to our show. So, Luigi and Mario chase these two guys through this like construction site and end up sort of accidentally diving into this interdimensional portal that's hidden behind a wall. Okay. Yep. And now they're in this alternate dimension. You want to know what this place is called? The name of the city?
Uh-oh.
Get ready for it. They really dug deep here, folks. This is the peak of creativity. Welcome to Dino Hatton. Not joking.
Yeah,
not joking.
I remember that. Yeah, that's.
But again, dude, 13 years old, didn't care, loved it.
Yeah.
Wanted to go to Dino Hatton. So, just like you said earlier, man, Dino Hatton is like even more gritty. It's almost like, honestly, you can tell that the folks that were working on the visual aspect of this movie were kind of inspired by things like Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
There's aspects of it that remind me of like Mad Max. You know,
right.
It's like they try to convey the fact that even though it's a parallel alternate dimension, certain things evolved similarly, saying it weird in my throat. Certain things evolved quite similarly.
It's still awful.
Still weird and similarly.
Similarly.
It's a weird word to say, similarly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's
other things are just like really weird. A lot of weird inventions. Okay.
Yeah. And that's where the little-headed like reptile guys.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. They get made, actually. Do you remember?
Why
Hold
don't
on.
I remember this?
Dude, I'll explain it to you. And I can't believe you didn't watch it, but that's fine. You have one homework assignment. Everything, though, around the city, you'll remember this, dude, is covered in this like fungus.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
The cars are on these like bumper rails, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
There is this. Oh, yeah, dude, I forgot about these. Dude, I wanted these things so bad. Remember the boots?
Oh, yeah, dude.
You've got Dennis Hopper running around with this like bleached hair.
Mm-hmm.
These strange lizard mannerisms sometimes. Like, I think he's the only one doing it. He'll like walk around and his hands are like kind of close to his side and sort of like pushed forward like he's got T-Rex hands sometimes. Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
And he is President Koopa.
Yeah.
Who is somehow part human, part dino. And he's just like obsessed with kind of entering into our dimension to just take it all over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the most sort of memorable parts is there's this is where those things come in. This de-evolution chamber.
Yeah.
It's like this like a weaponized hair salon chair where Koopa turns people into his Goombas.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're those sort of hulking reptile henchmen with these tiny heads, trench coats. And, I was never terrified of them, but that is kind of funny that they scared you.
I don't know why they did. I think it was just that sort of weird, like, uncanny valley thing. And also, like, they do look pretty creepy. Like, their mouths are, like, super wide.
Yeah.
And, like, they have those, like, tiny little teeth. I don't know. It was just weird to see, like, such a big body and then, like, a tiny, tiny little head.
And I always thought it was kind of... what the intense part to me was that he would use this thing, like, sort of against his enemies to, quote-unquote, de-evolve them.
Yeah.
Into these, like, sort of mindless drones. He uses it on Toad, which, if you're familiar with Mario and you have kids and you watch the animated one that came out a while back, Toad
So
is,
good.
the mushroom-hatted little dudes, right? Well, here he starts out as this, like, street musician with a harmonica, and then he ends up as this reptilian linebacker with a harmonica. Just bizarre choices, man.
Now, I don't remember any of this. Oh, it is Toad.
Remember, because he had, like, weird swirl on the back of his head or something.
Yeah, here's a picture of him with a harmonica.
All right, so let's get back to this, like, fungus that's everywhere. To be honest, it looks like some sort of khaki fabric that's just hanging and dangling around.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what's funny is it's not even like a subplot. It's a whole freaking character. You probably don't remember this. So it's this sentient fungus that's growing everywhere in Dino Hatton, and it keeps on kind of saving the Mario Brothers. It'll sometimes toss them tools, mushrooms, a bungee cord vines, kind of swings across gaps like, I don't know, Tarzan or something. Eventually, now, do you want me to spoil it? It's okay to spoil it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Eventually, we learn that the fungus is actually the former king, otherwise known as Daisy's dad, who was actually turned into this sentient mold by Koopa.
Man, this is such a deep sort of...
It's a deep dive into the movie?
But it's... just taking, like, this as, the source material from the source material. It's like, whoa, this is weird.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We're far away.
And the Mario Brothers, like, just like we did as kids watching it, just kind of roll with it. They're like, hey, look, it's a mushroom with a parachute. Or, hey, there are these little bomba bombs. Remember the little... That's about the only thing that actually is true to the video games.
Oh, yeah.
In design and just, how it works. It's just like these little bombs that I thought were cool, too. And this is part of it, too, man. Apparently, because it was rewritten so many times, the actors would show up on set and have to relearn lines, like, on the spot, day of shooting. They were all just, like, pissed. Apparently, Dennis Hopper came to set one day and was just, like, yelling at the directors for, like, 3 hours
like
straight.
the couple?
Yeah. For 3 hours straight, dude.
Jeez.
Didn't even know filming occurred. So that would happen. Then they would just stop, like, memorize, or, like, they would just expect, well, when we get there, we're going to have new stuff. That's how crazy it is. And you can kind of feel that a little bit. It's like all of a sudden things are being handed. You know what I mean? I don't know. It kind of feels a little put together towards the end. There's also this scene where they go to this nightclub and it's this, like, neon soaked techno rave. And Luigi dances with this lady, Big Bertha. Okay. And she's got, like, power and energy and just, like, seems like a professional wrestler, but with a wardrobe of, like, a In Vogue member. She steals Daisy's rock pendant, and the Mario Brothers had to steal it back. And I think Mario kind of, like, it's like basically it's resting sort of inner cleavage, and he sort of just like, gets in there. Remember that? And she, like, punches him in the face.
Yeah, cause she has like spikes all over or something, or like some kind of, like...
Yeah, it was like a red...
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, she has like a red spiked, like, some sort of outfit on.
But anyways, this is where they get their suits and stuff, like the green and red suits. And it's almost like, the filmmakers almost remembered halfway through shooting this thing, oh yeah, this is actually based on something, Give them the red and green. And
it almost seems like you can tell it's one of those projects where there were multiple people that were in charge had like completely different ideas of what they wanted out of this movie. Like you have somebody wanted it to be like The Matrix. Somebody else, you know what I mean? It was very like, it's just being pulled in all different directions.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like because they changed it so much, that they would say, hey man, we need this character's costume to be, I don't know, just come up with something. And then it was too late to change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But, around this part in the movie, it kind of just, the movie leans into its own chaos. There's car chases in the rail systems. There's this bomb that walks like tiptoeing.
It's like your little
sort of adorably, like a little twist up toy.
Yeah.
Or a wind up toy.
Well, what were the ones that we had as a kid? Like, I guess like the little, wasn't there like the little teeth one, like the mouth, and it would be like con, con.
Clack, 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 clack. Yeah. There's a scene where Mario pretends to be a pizza delivery guy. Luigi talks to a flamethrowing old lady. Mario shoves a wrench down a guy's pants. I mean, they make these huge jumps using those like jump shoes, which I thought were really cool.
That was the saving grace of the movie. As a kid, it was like, oh no, this is what
that was awesome.
This is what we came for.
And again, it's just like Masters of the Universe, where they create something that they didn't really necessarily have to.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't really. I feel like they came up with that concept before the movie. Before they came up with like the story arc, and they're like, okay, man, how do we make these? It's important that he jumps.
You know what? Probably it was. Honestly, it was probably in the original. Again, before anything started filming, and like your concept artists are like creating stuff, and they're like, well, it's going to be set in the real world, but he also needs to be able to jump, like super jump like Mario. Yeah. So let's give him these like like robotic boots, and now we're 200 miles away from that initial,
right?
Sort of concept.
It's what we talked about when we talked about, oh man, what was the guy, the Spring Heel Jack?
Yeah, right.
That's because of this movie. That's what I thought of when I heard and researched the story of Spring Heel Jack. Now, what's funny is, on its own, this movie is one of those that you can pop in the VCR, feel like you're 13 again, laugh about its ridiculous sort of premise, laugh about everything, and it's not a huge deal. It's kind of hard not to just feel bad for it, though, when you think about that same year, you had Jurassic Park.
Man.
My daughter's favorite, which is Hocus Pocus. Of course, that was a long time. Nightmare Before Christmas, Demolition Man.
No way.
Coneheads, Last Action Hero. I mean.
So this would have been, I would have been in 8th grade when this came out. Yeah, because I remember like really vividly Nightmare Before Christmas. Because I was just, only from the trailer, I was like just drawing Jack Skellington on everything. Yeah.
I mean, it was just like super pivotal, And Jurassic Park, like, this is where movies like Jurassic Park sort of, even now, I mean, to me, it still holds up.
Dude.
And you compare it to something like this, and it's like, come on. I mean, Spielberg.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's still, like, I'll still watch that, like, especially like the T-Rex scene and stuff, and it's just like, man, we're not that far, in the future as far as effects. Like, this was so good.
Yeah. In fact, speaking of Jurassic Park and, for example, that T-Rex scene that you're talking about, it's because, in my opinion, man, I think one way that movies have taken a turn for the worse is, and we've talked about this before ad nauseum, but their usage or overusage, I should say, and reliance on CGI versus practical.
Yep.
Now, the practical side is, well, we've kind of like crossed over that threshold, I think. I mean, Luke and Ellis and all of them would actually have to confirm that. But I feel like there was a time when it was so expensive to make that practical effect. Yeah. And if you didn't have the budget for it, you could kind of, maybe the CGI was somewhat cheaper. It wouldn't look as, not even close to as good, but you can kind of maybe get away with it. Then it became to where, like, now the CGI is so advanced and stuff that it was really expensive to hire those visual artists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so then you went back to kind of crappy or a blend. And now we're kind of in that era where, man, I wish more people would do really, really good practical effects, but I'm afraid that a whole generation of people that did that, those artists, have sort of just fallen to the wayside.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because you can't CGI. I mean, go and look at the new Jurassic World movies. I mean, they look good, but it's still not that big old model of T-Rex.
Yeah,
you can still see the difference, man.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, quote unquote, like technically, like the new ones are so everything down to like the musculature and like the way it moves is like, yes, more sort of, I don't know if you like realistic, I guess, in terms of like anatomically,
movement,
yeah, the way it would have responded and stuff. But like, I don't know if it's like just the heart that's in those original ones, but it's like the original one still feels a lot more like real to me. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like it's like, oh, there was an actual dinosaur being filmed.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh, it's just a better looking cartoon, really.
And I feel like too, like sometimes again, because of, it's almost like this lazy reliance on CGI, because I think just like we were talking about before we got on the mic, we were talking about the new movie, the newest version of Nosferatu. And I was talking about how I love the old 1920s version because thinking about, like, if you look at it through the lens of what they had, what the equipment they had to use and looking at the shots, you're like, man, I mean, all this was like practical, you know? And they still made certain things look so cool.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff. And I feel like sometimes if you over-rely and use CGI as a crutch, you're not like composing those scenes in your head respectfully. You know? And I know that sounds weird, but I just mean like Spielberg knew his limits and he knew how to exploit those limits and make that shot look so real because, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of the downside of the CGI thing is like it's almost unlimited. And because of that, people aren't really, I don't think,
it's like
anyway, are taken care.
What is the phrase that you always use about
mucho take it easy?
Mucho take it easy. No, it's the what is it? But it's like whenever we created like 500 designs.
And paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, paralysis by analysis. Yeah, it feels. I would imagine it's kind of like that where it's like, oh well, we can do anything as opposed to, well, the only way that we can do this shot is 1 by paper mache, 2, you know what I mean? It's like they had like only a few ways of creating this thing. And so, you know, they put in like thousands of man hours to like paint the heads of like Q-tips to represent the people in the crowds of like the pod race scene or like, and I don't know, man, to me, like, you know, it's definitely like a, okay boomer kind of thing, but I mean this is our audience, and that kind of stuff, like I could watch those documentaries and that stuff all day long, like how they made, you know, this scene from like the original Star Wars and stuff. Like it's just
I think amazing. ILM or whatever, Industrial Light and Magic, I think they're still bridging that gap and they're doing it well. And there are still creators that do well, but there's always the one scene that you're like, I mean, the new Alien movie is a perfect example.
Oh my!
It's incredible in so many ways, and then you've got the android face,
the mouth flap.
Turn it off.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's. I mean, that guy's definitely no longer with it. But like, anyway.
Well, and what we were talking about like day before yesterday, we were just talking about like you have the Justice League.
Oh yeah,
the Joss Whedon version, and it's like. This is like $1 billion to make, but yet you're going to have the absolute worst, like mouth flap scene in all of history. Oh God! I mean, I think
Superman because of the mustache thing.
Yeah. It's just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. I don't know. It sucks, but the thing about this Mario Brothers movie is that to me, even though they kind of had a lot of missteps and in so many ways made decisions that you and I never would, they still swung for the fences. And, you know, you got to respect that.
Yeah.
You know, even if it struck out. And it's funny that I think time really kind of especially like when I'm looking at the VHS shelf right now, there's so many movies on there that if someone asks me like, well, I mean, in the popular question I always get is, does it still hold up?
Mm-hmm.
And it depends what you mean by that. You know, if we're talking about Jurassic Park, yes. If you're talking about, I don't know, man. Let me look here. You know, Red Sonja or Raw Deal or, you know.
God, Raw Deal. What a good reference.
Mm-hmm. Or, you know, I don't know. There's so many that maybe they probably don't hold up in terms of, are they going to captivate my wife's attention? No.
Oh, yeah.
But do I want to put in Dick Tracy right after we get off the mic here and just watch it? Absolutely. Howard the Duck? Most certainly.
Well, you want to watch that for a different reason.
Oh, you mean the duck?
100%.
I mean, there's stuff like that I don't know. Like after a long, and maybe it is, and that's the nostalgia piece of our show, but also the reason why we all connect about that is because it reminds you of being 13. It reminds you of that year when you're just like, oh man, like for me, we had, like I said earlier in the show, we had just moved back to the States. I was excited about that. And this sounds stupid, but I was excited to like have to, or be able to ride a regular school bus.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that sounds silly, but you know, overseas we had these, well, they're basically like tour buses that would take you, air conditioned tour buses that would take you to school.
Now did y'all your like butlers, did they have
a butler,
own
we had a
buses?
cook and a maid, but anyway, and a driver.
Did your cook, maid, and driver, did they have their own buses?
No.
Okay.
Man, don't. It's not. Anyway. But what's cool about it is over the years and stuff, man, I've heard that, you know, people throw midnight screenings of this. There's like fan restorations. In fact, there's a whole website dedicated to archiving deleted scenes and production notes. And what that actually spun off an extended cut that for a long time was also hard to find. But I'm going to link this in
where do you
the
get that
show notes. There's an archive.org link that I'll put in the show notes of this episode. So it won't be on the Instagram, but it'll be in the show notes where you can go and watch it's dubbed now the Morton Jankel cut. And there's this whole history about this occurring, basically.
We will return after these messages.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
If you have kids or pets, you know stains and odors in your carpet and upholstery are inevitable. But the experts at ChemDry can help. ChemDry removes odors and stubborn stains by sending millions of carbonating bubbles deep within your carpet. ChemDry lifts dirt, urine, and stains to the surface to then be extracted away, giving you a cleaner and healthier home. Call 1-800-ChemDry or visit chemdry.com to connect with your local ChemDry and learn about special offers in your area. That's 1-800-ChemDry or visit chemdry.com today.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Key and Peele, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock. And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Defiance. Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
This episode is brought to you by Enterprise Mobility. From fleet management to flexible truck rentals to technology solutions, Enterprise Mobility helps businesses find the right mobility solutions so they can find new opportunities. Because if your business is on the road, they want to make sure it's on the road to success. Enterprise Mobility. Moving you moves the world. Find your road at enterprisemobility.com.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, this is Woody.
And this is Tyler. And you're listening to That Would Be Rad.
And now, back to our show. So nowadays, it's not as big of a deal, I think, for us. You know, we're used to things like the Snyder Cut.
Oh, yeah.
And we're used to, like, and it's always a big deal, though. I love that. I would love to see a cut of the, I guess, before this one that's about to come out, but the Fantastic Four that was just edited to an abysmal movie. You know?
Yeah.
I would like to see the director's cut of that.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, for all of you folks who don't know, like the Michael B. Jordan, who else was in it? Miles Teller.
Oh, what's her name? Kate Mara.
Yeah, pretend that you don't know that name.
No, dude, you're thinking of Rooney Mara.
Oh, that is.
I do enjoy both sisters for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're both beautiful.
But yeah, this, for all of you that don't know, here's sort of a little...
Pretend that you don't know that name.
The backstory on this is that, like, who is the director?
Boy, I don't remember.
I can't remember either. But he filmed this movie. They were all, like, really proud of it. And apparently near the end, there was a lot of stuff, like, back and forth, kind of like issues with, like, the studio. And then it got to, like, the editing sort of, you know, in terms of, like, producing music, sort of the mastering phase, to where they literally locked him out of the editing bay. And so when he gets the final cut, it's like, it's basically like a completely different movie. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, imagine putting that much work.
Imagine, like, the only way that I think we can relate to it on an emotional level would be, imagine writing a song.
Yeah.
You spend all that time recording, getting it perfect, and you're like, all right, man, we got to go back to Atlanta. Send us the finish, you know, once the regulator.
Oh,
Craig,
yeah,
Craig, the regulator, okay. Once Craig's done editing it, we'll shoot it. Okay, cool, yeah. We fly back to Atlanta, weeks go by.
Yeah.
And we get the song, and it's, you know, I don't know, completely different. It's a country song or a hip-hop song.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Or they replace, you know, the lyrics somehow. I mean, it would be soul crushing. And then at that point, legal wise, you have less ground to stand on or whatever, not being able to do anything about it, and then your name is still tied to that.
That's the thing. It's like you do this whole thing, you spend like, I think it was like 3, maybe even almost 4 years making this thing. So for us, it would be like making like, 5 records, like full albums, and then for all that to happen. And it's like right at the end, you're about to be at the finish line, and then it just gets taken from you, completely changed by people who, which this is common. This is why there's so many shitty movies out there, but it's like, then it's taken and completely changed by people who could care less about the source material. But yet now it's out in the public and your name's at the top of the, you're the big director, and it's just...
I'm going to take this opportunity to say that's why we are independently releasing this podcast, is because we don't want anybody's hands in, sort of in our creative capacity.
Yeah.
Who couldn't care less about anything that we do.
Yep.
Not only is it kind of our ego that's sort of leading that, but also, because of a situation like this, but also in the music industry and stuff, we've seen how that can kind of go, and we're not, that's not happening. So anyway, we live in this world now where it's like Snyder Cut, there's the Suicide Squad, Yeah. Well, then we get this arrival of the Morton Jankel cut.
Well, real quick. Yeah. So when you say, and this may have been like pre all this, so like, still, like if you watch like sort of the deleted scenes and stuff, especially on your more big budget stuff that has a lot of CGI involved, if you like, it just looks bad that they haven't done.
Yeah, it's like pre-production.
Yeah, they haven't done the treatment, and usually like you don't see the really like CGI. It's either kind of like crudely kind of drawn in, just like a placeholder. Is this cut like that, or have they?
Yeah. So it's a mix of all of it. Okay. But let me get to how this came about, and then I'll talk about what it looks like. So, it's really kind of cool because this is sort of like in the space of like being somebody that creates things. This is sort of how I would. No, not bragging. I'm saying you too.
Brag.
This is how we would dream. This is what we would dream of. Okay. Because you're talking about fast forwarding many, many years, and all of this arrives because of the work of diehard fans about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
In this archive, it also talks about troubled production processes and all this kind of stuff. And the whole mission of the site was to inform people. This guy that founded it, his name's Ryan Haas. Okay?
Yep.
And he says to have the information ready for when they are ready to reappraise this film. He said, I watched the film and I was left with this overriding question of why? Why did this happen and what does it mean? The website is a place for people to go and find those answers and to be more informed and better able to get something out of this iteration of Super Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, we've always known how special this movie is, and the more we have dived into it, the more we see these things. The cut is just another avenue to see what they were trying to do. It provides context, if not set dressing, and it's part of a story. So Stephen Applebaum was the Super Mario Brothers Archives editor-in-chief, and he recalls watching the movie as a child and sort of being confused by it. And I think he's probably a little older than us, which I'm sure, like, the folks that were like 3 to 5 years older than us watching this movie would be like, what the heck is this? We were young enough to where it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was only later, he said, that he sort of revisited it as an adult, and he sort of began to see how Morton and Jankel were attempting to sort of copy the success of another visionary director. And he said that they were approaching it from a subversive, deconstructive angle. And they didn't want it to be a typical sort of damsel in distress story. And that they had seen video games, and this is, pretty obvious. They saw video games as the next big thing after comic books. They've seen what Tim Burton did with Batman in '89.
Yeah.
And how he took this character and made him into like a modern myth set in the modern world, and they thought, I think we can do the same with video games.
Yeah. Which, boy, video games would become billions and billions of dollar, business.
Well, now, you've got TV shows, just tons of stuff on video games. I gotta say though,
they still...
It's rare for me to find one that just really does it justice.
Wait, what was the... Well...
Remember Doom? Come on.
Oh, it wasn't good, yeah. Wasn't great. Although, man, the newest Mario is pretty perfect.
It's pretty good. And it's animated, though. You know, anytime that... I'm saying, like, anytime they go...
Life,
live action, it's just, man, it's hard to do.
I mean, there was... What was the one, like, right before Mario, like the new Mario that came out? There was one that was actually...
Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Still awesome. Yeah, the Sonic movies are great. But that I would still...
After they fixed the visual effects of Sonic's design. You remember that?
Although, have you heard the conspiracy?
No.
So the conspiracy, which, I mean, if this is like in their top secret marketing campaign meetings, if this was true, then this is one of the most genius moves of all time. So basically... The idea was, hey, we're going to put out this thing which we clearly know is awful. And it was like uproar. Like every single person was like, this Sonic is not Sonic. This looks like, you know, it was awful. And so the whole idea was like, you know, and then they come back and they say, oh, we're going to take like 3 or 4 more months and go back and like change everything. Well, I've seen several people who are in like VFX on like the forums, and they're like, this is impossible. In 3 or 4 months, there is no possible way that they could have completely like reskinned this on the scale of like a movie like Sonic. And so the conspiracy, you know, is that they put this thing out, and then they knew that everybody was going to lose their minds over it, and then they're like, okay, we're going to change it. That way, even the people that weren't interested in seeing Sonic, they would be like, well, I got to go see Sonic to see if it's like
terrible,
still crappy looking or good. It's kind of genius, you know, if it was intentional.
And around the same time, I think, remember there's that whole thing about the movie Cats as well.
Oh.
I feel like there was like some visual effects studios that really got punched in the face.
Now that is bad. That's just...
But again, kind of a brilliant move. If it's a marketing ploy, it worked. I mean, Sonic blew up, you know.
Sonic's awesome. We just watched...
But it was great, yeah.
Sonic
James
3.
Marsden, man.
Yeah.
He's the best, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. We just watched like the newest one with Keanu as Shadow, and it's awesome.
Really good?
Yeah, great.
What's interesting too, man, is around this time, just talking about it, it's like there were other movies, Double Dragon, we didn't mention that earlier, Street Fighter. Those movies have basically... just disappeared off the map. Nobody cares, as far as I know. But this one kind of still retained this sort of strong cult following, and those movies came out around the same time. You know,
I vaguely remember Double Dragon.
Terrible, dude.
I just remember it was another one of those movies, like I said up top, where it just didn't really have anything to do with the source material.
Yeah, it just sucks, man. I don't know. So anyway. So the story about this Morkel Jenkin cut began sort of in May of 2019 when this team behind this Super Mario Bros. Archive discovered a previously unseen extended rough cut of the movie. Check this out, dude. The work print was bought via eBay. And they believe that it came out of producer Roland Joff's storage locker. And at some point, this storage locker and entire holdings of Leitmotiv, this company, who made the film, was liquidated. And they assumed that this cut would have most likely died with it. So
I love this.
They win this on eBay. Somebody just threw it up there.
Wow.
And, you know, they kind of sorted through interviews and photographs, trading cards, things that they had found in magazines and all this, and had this giant list of all these deleted scenes. So they're trying to, like, basically find, and we've kind of talked about this, like, it's almost like this is real life lost media stuff.
Yeah, dude.
These guys find it, but they're doing it in a way to where they're just combing through interviews where somebody said, well, you know, yeah, there was this one scene that it didn't make the cut that blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh man, we got to find this. And so they're just archiving all this info. And then they get this rough cut. And then they recruited this filmmaker named Garrett Gilchrist to restore some of the footage because he's worked on like resurrecting some old movies. And so this resulting cut includes an additional 20 minutes of footage that weaves in this subplot that shows like Mario Brothers clashing with the rival mafia-linked plumber siblings, the Scapelli brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It also solves some of the mysteries left behind by the heavily edited, theatrical cut. In one scene, for instance, there's this pile of slime that's visible on the floor that's never explained. It's just there. In this cut, it answers that question in the form of this sequence in which one of King Koopa's henchmen is reduced to the pile of goo.
Yeah.
So just little stuff like that.
That's cool, though. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's also this addition of a rap performed by Iggy and Spike. That kind of served as this backbone of the sort of subplot that would have paved the way for a sequel. If you remember at the very end, and this is kind of maybe where this movie is kind of pioneering in a way, there's a post-credit scene. In this post-credit scene, you see these Japanese executives talking to someone about a sequel. The camera pans over and it's Iggy and Spike, and they're trying to come up with what they would call it. They're like, we would call it, Iggy and Spike. I don't know. They come up with a bunch of stupid names anyways. And then it cuts to the rest of the credits or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So real quick, does it ever, again, like I specifically didn't watch the movie because I kind of wanted to, kind of have you sort of lead me down memory lane.
Do the work for it. Yeah.
Do the work for me. Yeah, yeah. And does the movie ever sort of reference anything regarding like the video game at all, or no? Because sometimes like if there's like something from a comic, there will be a scene where like a kid's reading like.
Yeah, I didn't see that. This last time that I watched it, I kind of paid attention as best I could, but then I also kind of wanted to save some of my focus on it to rewatch it with Woodrow because he actually loved it too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I don't remember if they make any references like that. And my son's really good at like finding those things. He pointed out to me this scene in Temple of Doom at the very beginning when Short Round is driving the car and they're kind of like in a car chase. They pass by this bar that, again, I've probably seen that movie 150 times in my lifetime. Never noticed this. Woodrow's like, Dad, pause it. I'm like, what? He's like, rewind it. They just passed something. I'm like, okay. I rewinded it, paused it. The name of the bar is Obi-Wan's.
Oh, that's...
And it's in these like neon sign. And I'm like, I have never seen that.
Weird.
And it's like half a second on screen. He pointed it out,
Yeah, that's cool, man.
On his first viewing of the movie, too.
Wow, I love that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So...
Oh, well, it's kind of like another one that we recently talked about. Me letting my kids watch Goonies. The phone call. He's like, come on, mouth. This isn't... Let me guess. Is this...
Or you mean Chunk?
Or... Oh, yeah.
Lawrence.
It was
they call him Lawrence. His...
No. It was Chunk. Yeah. He's like, oh, like... Is this another story like you called last week with like the aliens? You can't feed them after midnight.
Yeah,
like stuff like that. It's just so
cool, man. Yeah,
yeah.
So basically, they put together this cut. You can find it on the internet. Again, I'm going to put the link in the show notes so that those inclined can spend some time watching it.
Yeah,
they had hoped to maybe like spark, because of the renewed interest in the movie, maybe like a re-release. But, as far as U.S. release goes, it never really panned out.
I mean, it is kind of a niche.
It is, but you can't find it online, man. You can't even stream it anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Other than maybe, I guess, if you go on Apple TV or something. But
what's funny
Disney apparently controls the rights in the U.S. There was a Blu-ray that came out in Japan, but...
yeah, I definitely am interested in the extended cut. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. What's funny, transparency for our listeners here, we've literally been sitting on this topic for years at this point. And I remember in the beginning, I think we didn't do it because I had no way of finding it.
Yeah.
It was like impossible. But
and we couldn't get you over here to watch it on my VCR.
Yep. But I'm super glad we went down this little memory lane. I think that stuff is just, I don't know, it's pretty fascinating. Just
the world's changed so much too, man. Like, even, do you remember, I mean, I just love thinking about, you had to get dropped off. Your parents had to drive you to the movies. The only way you knew what time it was playing is if you like looked in the paper, or eventually Movie Phone. You would call the number and have to wait for them to talk through the whole list of movies that were playing there. And having to schedule that and getting there on time. You couldn't purchase your tickets online in advance and pick your seat. You had to really put work into it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, God, it was just so exciting.
Oh, yeah.
To do that, man.
Well, also another thing, you know, speaking about Nintendo, I recently ran across this video that, I mean, it almost like made me tear up. And it was a video of like the Nintendo Power reps. So back in the old days, for our newer listeners, if you're playing a video game, before strategy guides were a thing, you know, you had like Nintendo Power magazine, and like there would be like articles and like you know, tips and cheats and stuff. But if you came to a point in a video game that you could not beat, you literally would call this like Nintendo Power help desk. And like I remember doing this multiple times. And the guy would literally sit on the phone with you and he's like, all right, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to da-da-da-da-da. And I remember like he first would say, okay, what game? You know, you would tell him the game, and then you would hear him like him putting that same game in. So he's literally playing along with you to like show you how to beat the part.
Yeah, man.
Just awesome, man. Such a good time.
There's a documentary on Netflix that kind of talks about that.
Oh,
and they
really?
They interview one of the guys that was, you know, I mean, I think he was like just like maybe 18, 19.
Yeah.
Dude, they
I've
had
heard
these
that.
like almost like bomber jackets that just said, what did it say? Nintendo.
It was from Nintendo Power, like the magazine, I think.
Yeah, but it said something like game expert or something. I mean, dude, I would kill for one of these jackets, man.
Well, I also remember like and I don't know if this was like the full sort of protocol to become one of those guys, but I do remember like, and man, for some reason, I mean, I could be way off here, but I feel like maybe it was even mentioned in the Wizard movie to where like one of the prizes, you know, to win the big finals you would also become like a Nintendo Power game expert.
Man.
Which it was like a big thing, you know.
Yeah, this guy, I think I also could be remembering this incorrectly, but I believe part of his interview process was they just like plugged in a console and they were just like, beat this game.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know.
Yep.
Man, I mean, just, I don't know. What a cool time, man.
Amazing, dude. Yeah, so cool, dude. Before we get out of here, I ran across this topic that, you know, we kind of brushed on the idea of like lost media. And for all of you that may not be familiar with that, what Woody was talking about is, you know, it's either you know, music or film or even video games that have kind of been lost to time, or maybe you know this thing was like erased, you know, kind of like the moon footage. But this is like this stuff's actually real, and you know they like taped over it, you know, the studio or stuff like that. This is the first time that I've ever heard anything like this. It's almost lost media in a way, going backwards. And so what I mean by this is this movie called 100 Years. Okay. And it's this experimental science fiction short film written and starring John Malkovich, which we're big fans of. The film was produced by this French company to promote one of the sort of the benefactors of the company. This it's called Louis XIII, which was this like cognac that takes 100 years to create. And this movie, the cognac is locked in a safe for a century. And that's the whole thing with this movie as well. The movie will be locked behind a safe literally until November 18th, 2115.
Wow.
Yeah, the film has like a full international sort of ensemble cast. You know, like I said, John Malkovich, Chinese actress Shuna Chang, Filipino actor Gideon Manlulu, and it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, which, you know, he's like a legit guy. He did Sin City. He's done all the Spy Kids movies. He did, you know, Machete, Planet Terror, The Faculty, Alita Battle Angel. He's like a close friend with like Tarantino.
And you said, what's the name?
Robert Rodriguez.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who did, like, we were just talking about, like, the Grindhouse.
Yeah, and
Planetary.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, and from yep. But yeah, it's cool because it's like lost media, but you know what's weird is like none of us will be alive when it's released. So,
man, that is really weird. I mean, talk about like a strange sort of time capsule movie.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's kind of odd because I mean, I get like it is kind of a sort of a cool tagline, like, you know, this cognac that they're selling is aged 100 years. So they're kind of doing the same thing with this film, which is cool, but it's like, it makes you wonder, like, well, what is it about? You know, like what's, you know, in 100 years, is anybody going to care or even be able to like relate to whatever the movie's about? I don't know. It's interesting, but
well, maybe not. But at the same time, man, dude, I mean, God, thinking about it in those terms, if there was something that already existed like that, and they're like, okay, in 2030, we're releasing this movie that was recorded in 1930.
Yeah.
No one's ever seen it. Tickets, $100. I mean,
that's pretty awesome.
I'd definitely like ask you how it was.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the. Do you know about like the Nickelodeon time capsule?
Roughly, yeah.
So it was this big deal on Nickelodeon. They did this big like sort of event where they buried this time capsule in 1992, and it won't be opened until 2042. So hopefully we can make that one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it like the big deal with it was like kids were able to
1992. I said that weird, and it made a weird S sound. In 1992, let's think about what would be in there. I mean, you got to have a King Griffey Jr. card in there, probably.
Well, some of the stuff in there was like, and this is probably why I remember it. It was like you could vote to put certain things in there.
Oh yeah, okay.
So the things that we know about that are in there are VHS tapes of Home Alone and Back to the Future.
Nice,
pretty awesome. CDs by MC Hammer and Michael Jackson.
You betcha.
A Nintendo Game Boy, an issue of Nickelodeon magazine, a pair of rollerblades, Reebok pumps, a Joey Lawrence Whoa 1992 hat, a Ren and Stimpy t-shirt, a Barbie doll, a piece of the Berlin Wall, a jar of Gak, which is kind of awesome, a skateboard, Twinkies, a stick of gum, newspaper, whatever around that time, a world atlas, a phone book, a TV guide, and a book of endangered species. But yeah, that's the stuff that we know about, and I don't know, it's just exciting. It's cool,
Yeah, I mean, dude, I remember that now because I remember like those are such things that a 12-year-old would put in a stick of gum.
Yeah.
No one's gonna chew that thing.
No, although I would say the Twinkie is probably still good.
Yeah, so it didn't change for sure.
Not at all.
So many preservatives.
So just all preservatives. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And if you like preservatives too, join us over on our Instagram. Leave us a comment. Drop us a line. Shoot us a DM if you have a story of your own you'd like to tell. If it's more long form, you can shoot it to thatwouldberadpod@gmail.com. Yeah, tell us your own urban legend. Maybe you've had a paranormal sort of experience. Maybe you've encountered sleep paralysis, a ghost, missing time, you've seen a UFO, whatever. And if you would like to tell that story in your own voice and possibly become a piece of That Would Be Rad history on a future episode, you can do so on our voice memo sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? Like feature, I guess, on our website, thatwouldberadpodcast.com. We love that kind of stuff. So even if it's short and you're just shooting us a DM, even that may end up in a future episode. We really thrive on those sort of the high strangeness stuff that doesn't really make sense, or the maybe the topics that just haven't made their rounds on the internet yet. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so the best way over on our Patreon, The Rabbit Trail. It's more of what you love. It's a little looser, a little goosier. We record later at night, so it's just a little more relaxed. Woody's usually half-cocked by then. And
I don't know what that means.
Just hammered.
Yeah, right.
Just hammered. Every episode, Woody's been drunk so far.
Come on.
I'm kidding. But yeah, leave a 5-star review. It really helps us sort of game the algorithm. Tell that friend that's into other weird stuff or 80s and 90s nostalgia. Tell that friend about the show, because more than likely they're going to, fit right in and also become a member of the family. I guess that's about it. Woody, you got anything else?
I think that's it, man.
Right on. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always,
be rad.
That's the way it goes. Clouds in a time where I just needed some sunshine. You were already dead before you became a ghost. You always said our future